Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about Jupiter transiting the 12th house in a natal chart. Now, on average, Jupiter will traverse a house for approximately 1 year. However, if your house size is a little bit larger than average, then Jupiter will be in it for a little longer duration. If your house size is a little bit smaller than average size, then Jupiter will transit it for a little bit of a shorter duration. Now, anyway, well, first thing I'll look at when Jupiter transits one's natal 12th house is that this could be rather auspicious and favorable for things behind the scenes, private matters, things done in seclusion and solitude. This could be a time where maybe you just really have a lot more exuberance and enthusiasm for your own private time. This could enlarge introspection, and it could really emphasize privacy a lot more. Even if you are somebody that is really very extroverted and gregarious, say, this could be a time where you might surprise some people that are close to you, and you might really strongly emphasize being kind of to yourself a little bit more than usual, and people in your private life may figure more prominently during this transit than usual. Now, in some cases, though, this could also perhaps increase a propensity for clandestine relationships or interludes. And this also, at the same time, Jupiter in the transiting this house could be, you might have more of an enthusiasm and exuberance for perhaps 12th house subjects such as the metaphysical, such as things that are spiritual, videography, filmography, even things connected like illusionists, people that are magicians or doing things like that, magic tricks, illusion. Those could be some things that you might strongly emphasize more than you had previously. Now, the thing about what you got to remember about this transit is that, okay, Jupiter is a benign planet, but at the same time, it can be a little bit paradoxical. And when you have Jupiter transiting the 12th house, I believe, well, the 12th house could be connected with mental illness and perhaps an anxiety as well. And if you have Jupiter transiting this house, if you are a person that is anxious or you have some anxiety issues, I think it can increase the propensity for enlarging that. And the same thing if for the few percentage that have a mental illness, I think it can emphasize that a little bit more, or it might enlarge maybe some issues with it, I think, when Jupiter makes this transit. Now, the thing, too, is when you have Jupiter transiting the 12th house, perhaps it could be maybe somewhat favorable for maybe not going through the self-undoing, so to speak, or gives you maybe a little less propensity for that. But like I said, Jupiter can expand as well, and sometimes it can enlarge these issues. This could be a time where you might be more jocular and more jovial in matters in private with people who are in the private sector, so to speak, of your life. This could be a time also where your dreams perhaps might be more enjoyable than usual. This could be a time, an auspicious period as far as open adversaries go. Let me elaborate. When I say that, I mean as far as being triumphant or victorious over them. They might, if you might had somebody that, like a fake friend maybe, and somebody that might really be a hidden enemy or adversary, this could be the time where he or she may be exposed, and you don't, by finding out, you don't deal with them anymore. And really, those are some things to look at as far as this transit goes. And this could be a time to keep in mind that Jupiter is also associated with publishing. So if you're somebody, especially if you are a writer, maybe this could be an advantageous period for publishing something in connection with a 12th house subject, such as astrology, something or something with the metaphysical, or if with filmography, something that connected with fantasy, perhaps, such as like writing a fantasy or fiction novel, perhaps, and or maybe something that's connected with helping those that are less fortunate than most of us, such as the oppressed, the impoverished, the homeless. It could also be a time for perhaps helping those people more, those that are less fortunate than we are, as I mentioned before, such as the homeless, the hungry, the oppressed, the impoverished, people that are generally less fortunate than we are. And really, those are some things to look at as far as this transit goes. Now, it's also it's important to remember too, that also look at the aspects that are made from this transit to your natal planets and points in your chart, because this could impact the transit. Now let's say, for example, that transiting Jupiter is making a square in conjunct or opposition to your natal Mercury. Well, this could be a time where you might simply be inundated with communication from others, and trying to deal with so much communication could be difficult. Trying to assimilate too much information can be an arduous task. And being the fact that it's in the 12th, it could be tied perhaps to matters in privacy or in seclusion. Now, such as communication and seclusion. Now, anyway, take another example. Let's say that transiting Jupiter in the 12th house, I should say, is making a conjunction to your natal Venus. Well, this could be a time where you may express much exuberance and enthusiasm, perhaps for those things you enjoy. At least more, maybe you're going to express it anyway for things you enjoy, but even more so perhaps than usual. And being in the 12th, with Jupiter transiting the 12th, it might be connected perhaps with a 12th house subject, such as the metaphysical, photography, videography, or simply things in seclusion, or perhaps even helping those less fortunate than we are. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for Jupiter transiting the 12th house in a natal chart. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be dissertating and talking about Saturn transiting the 1st house in a natal chart. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.